Before high-tech alarms, motion sensors, and smart locks, there was a world where survival depended on grit, instinct, and a little medieval engineering magic. And here's the hook. Some of the simplest home security tricks ever created didn't come from the digital age. They were born centuries ago, perfected long before World War II, and they still outperform modern systems in raw effectiveness. These weren't just clever hacks. They were shields against raiders, thieves, and desperate men willing to risk everything for a loaf of bread or a pouch of coins. And the best part? Anyone can use them today. Let's dive straight into the brutal genius of medieval home protection, the kind of survival wisdom you don't just learn, you feel. Medieval homeowners didn't wait for danger to knock. They built their houses to scream before an intruder even touched the door. One of the simplest tactics was using loose gravel, dry husks, or rough stone paths around entry points. Step on it, and the noise snapped the house awake. It wasn't fancy, but it worked because humans can't defeat physics. The crunch had nowhere to hide. In modern prepping, we call this passive intrusion detection. No batteries, no wiring, no malfunction, just guaranteed sound. Even during World War II, families in rural resistance communities used similar tactics, placing broken pottery outside windows to detect nighttime movement. If it shattered, you reacted instantly. You know, a simple sound trap turns your home into an early alert system. And, well, medieval folks mastered it long before sirens existed. Before electricity, light wasn't just illumination. It was, honestly, psychological warfare. People placed torches or simple lamps behind potential intruders instead of facing outward. This meant anyone approaching a door or window became a perfect silhouette. You didn't reveal yourself. They did. Anyone thinking of sneaking up suddenly found themselves exposed like a shadow puppet. This same principle was used in World War II blackout strategies. Troops and homeowners controlled light to manipulate visibility. Those who understood how to hide their own outline and highlight the enemy had the upper hand. Using light as a shield instead of a beacon is old-school brilliance, and honestly, it's still powerful today. Motion lights do the same thing, but the medieval trick works even without electricity. Medieval doors weren't like ours. They were heavy, reinforced, and engineered to frustrate attackers. But, you know, the real trick wasn't always the door's strength. It was the way it was braced. A simple door bar, often just a thick beam set into two wall slots, was enough to absorb enormous force. Instead of relying on a lock that could be picked or pried, the door became part of the wall itself. You really weren't breaking in unless you had hours, the right tools, and honestly, no fear of being caught. Fast forward to World War II. Underground bunkers, hideouts, and safe homes used the exact same method, horizontal door bracing. When you brace a door that way, even modern battering rams, really struggle. It's a medieval hack that has literally saved lives through centuries of conflict. And yes, you can actually improvise this today with just some simple lumber and two sturdy brackets. One of the most underestimated medieval security hacks was the use of nature as a hostile force. Homeowners planted thorny bushes under windows and around low walls. Not the decorative kind, the vicious kind that grabbed clothing, ripped skin, and slowed enemies down. These natural barriers were silent defenders. They didn't need training. They didn't fall asleep. They punished every step. In wartime Europe during World War II, resistance fighters used similar strategies: thick hedges, bramble nets, and improvised thorn walls to slow down patrols or protect hidden passageways. Modern preppers call this defensive landscaping. Medieval people just called it common sense. And if your goal is to make intruders rethink their life choices, a wall of thorns delivers instant regret. Medieval homes were engineered to betray footsteps. Wooden planks that creaked on purpose, loose floorboards near entries, pottery shelves positioned to rattle at the slightest touch. It wasn't accidental, it was design. When you live in a world where guards aren't on call, you learn to make your home your alarm system. Even today, in rural parts of the world, families still use deliberately loud doors, creaky hinges, or loose tiles, not because they're old, but because they're smart. And remember this, many safe houses in World War II relied on intentional noise traps inside rooms to detect anyone sneaking through corridors. A home that whispers is vulnerable. A home that talks back is protected. You know, one of the most electrifying medieval tricks was the escape path built right into homes. There were trap doors in floors, concealed crawl spaces, and narrow passages that allowed the family to slip out or hide, all while intruders spent their energy breaking in. These weren't just Hollywood myths, actually. Archaeologists have found homes with real hidden exits, especially in areas that were threatened by raiders or political violence. World War II, well, it took this tactic and really elevated it. Secret attics, underground tunnels, camouflaged cellars, all of these were inspired by techniques perfected hundreds of years earlier. You know, having a secondary exit is honestly one of the most powerful security tools, even today. It doesn't just protect possessions, it protects lives. Medieval people, well, they were masters of illusion. If you wanted your home to look guarded, even when it wasn't, you staged it. Spears left visible near the door, a cloak hung as if someone large had just stepped out, and shadows from lanterns arranged to look like movement. You weren't tricking burglars with technology, you were tricking them with imagination, theirs. During World War II, resistance groups used similar tricks, placing helmets, tools, or even silhouettes to make abandoned buildings seem like they were still occupied. An enemy who thinks someone is home is an enemy who stays away. Sometimes, you know, the best security isn't a fight, it's a deterrent. Medieval home security wasn't primitive. It was genius. It was raw. It was effective. And honestly, many of those methods outperformed the expensive systems people rely on today. When you blend your modern prepping with the hard-earned wisdom of the past, you get something powerful, the kind of security rooted in centuries of real survival, from medieval villages to the dark years of World War II. If you found these ancient tricks eye-opening, make sure to subscribe, share this video, and help bring more lost survival knowledge back to life. History has the codes. We're here to unlock them.